Really excited about this year's team. We have a lot of depth that last year fortunately did not have the injury bug last year. But this year we have a lot of depth in the infield and in the outfield. So really excited about the athleticism of the additions, our freshmen. We have 4 freshmen who are going to come in and contribute quite a bit, I think, in their career. So we have a pretty good fall schedule. We play against Texas State. We play against the other team. We have a couple of McLennan and just a variety of fall games. We play away on a couple of them to kind of get us used to playing on the road. So really excited, like I said. We return all of our main pitchers. Emily Kennedy, Emily Levitt, and Shaylee Ackerman decided to come back for her last year of eligibility. And then we added Brooke Vestal, who complements our repertoire and our pitching circle really nicely. So we've started team practice October 21st. It's been going well. We've been working them pretty hard. And excited to finally play against another team this Friday. I think that's what the team will tell you, is they're tired of playing against each other, and excited for us to all be on one side and beat up on somebody else.
We'll start questions back behind the lights on the left side to Donna.
Hey, Coach.
Howdy.
Can you talk about some of the additions that you grabbed from the transfer portal and just kind of what they add to this team?
Yeah, just a lot of athleticism. I mean, the biggest one is probably Kennedy Powell. To be honest with you, we call her KP. She's from Conroe. Spent her freshman year at UCLA, hit well above 300. Brings just a variety of tools to us. Can play infield. She played outfield for them last year. So, I mean, she could play there, but she has speed, power. Her and Coco together, I think, are going to be the dynamic duo, is what I like to call them. So that's been fun. We have a couple kids that I'm really familiar with, Savannah Price and Jazz Hill, both of them who are 300-plus hitters, Jazz Hill being somebody that's going to anchor our outfield. Our arms in the outfield have dramatically improved. So I'm excited to, as a pitching coach, to be able to throw some runners out, trying to advance bases. And then we have a couple of kids from UL. So Kylie Griffin, we call her KG, and Kramer. I always mess up her last name, Machette. She's also, both of them are Texas kids, so just bringing them back home. I think that's something that's really big for us, is bringing back the talent back to Texas. The A&M degree and the 12th man sells itself. We just have to do a really good job of keeping them here. So I think that's all of our transfers. There should be 6 of them, so excited. Like I said, I think we just have just a plethora. I forgot Brooke Vestal. I mentioned her earlier. She's a pitcher from Ole Miss. When we faced her last year, the girls were swinging and laughing up to bat, and I didn't find it very funny when they were missing. And so they're coming in the dugout, and I'm like, what's so funny? They're like, Coach, it's like a knuckleball. I mean, it's just kind of moving like crazy. And obviously her data really kind of complements that, or shows that, exemplifies that. And so she's got like a 2200 RPM on some of her pitches, which really goes well. We scrimmaged last Friday, so I had Brooke Vestal and lefty Emily Kennedy pitch on the same team against our hitters, and the first thing out of their mouths was like, that's not fair. You got 72 from the left side, and you got 58 to 62 from the right side with 2400 RPM. So they had a hard time. It was a good day for me. Coach Harger, not so much. So, but really excited of kind of being able to play around with those matchups and see what that looks like. You guys know from a pitching perspective, we'll do a lot of that. So.
And then what are kind of some of the goals and expectations you've set for this fall?
I think for this fall, it's really for us to like get after it from a practice standpoint. They will tell you that our intensity in practice has increased dramatically. From a pitching standpoint, we've done things a little bit different. We spent a lot of time of kind of getting some of our tweaks out from a mechanic standpoint. They trust me now this year. I think that's the biggest thing. Last year, I was new, and I go up to a couple of them and like, oh, I know you're a drop ball pitcher, but now you're going to be a rise ball pitcher. You're like, thanks, you're brand new, and this is and she handled it really well. And so, we had transfers, a lot of transfers last year. So I just feel like we're much more comfortable as a unit. So we're able to have, I would say, just more productive conversations. And I don't know, I've just enjoyed this year a little bit. I've said this, those of you that have kids understand this. The first year here, everything's usually the same, but you're trying to figure out who does what. But it's kind of like when you have a newborn and you like wake up, but you're like existing, but you're kind of like trying to figure it all out. And then by year 2, you're like, okay, I got this. Like, I'm getting some sleep, And so that's kind of how I feel this year. I feel like I have my feet underneath me. I understand how Texas A&M works and all of the support, and then able to kind of attack the field a little bit better.
We'll stay back behind the lights on the right side to Ben.
Hey, Coach. Wish I could get some of that sleep you were talking about. But what stands out to you from your coaching experience? I guess at this point in the year, when you see a girl, to say, from what you're seeing, she's prepared to have a breakout year, and this can translate.
So, like, say that one more time. Yeah.
What do you see from a girl at this point in the year compared to where they were in the spring, to say, I've seen the signs that this girl's poised to potentially really, really make a massive step up?
Yeah, I think it has to do with our relationships. I feel like I'm a relationship coach. And so for you to understand like what your quote unquote potential, it's an ugly word, but what you're capable of doing on a consistent basis and not being afraid of it. You can't run from your greatness. And that's something that I talk to them quite a bit about is be great and don't run from it. And you're going to have failures, even though the great ones have failures. It's how you respond to it. So I think the calmness that I feel within our pitching staff, I can see that. I think, especially with Jazz Hill, like being back into familiar territory, I think she's going to have another really big year. If you look at her stats prior to last year, she's been, off the charts, from an offensive standpoint. So I think, all of them, like Coco, Rylan, Trin, all of them just, they understand what our standard is, what our expectation, what it looks like. And so I think that ability to to know what to expect from us, and they can be a little bit more comfortable and push themselves. So that, I would say that was probably the biggest thing that I see this year is just them knowing like, okay, this is how it's going to go. Last year, they were like, what is practice like? I mean, are you going to yell at us? Are you not going to yell at us? What does that look like? So I think we're all on the same page.
We'll go 4th row on the left side to Rob, and then the battalion.
Howdy, Coach.
Howdy. There we go. Sorry, right in front of me. Yeah.
So what did you learn about, after a year in the SEC and a couple of games in postseason against our arch rival? Tell me kind of what you learned. I know a lot of times you say softball. But what did you learn?
Things that I could stay on camera. No, just kidding. No, I think competition is competition. I feel like the SEC, the conference from top to bottom is tougher than the Pac-12. I think the Pac was also down last year, so that was, different. I think the way they run things is a much more professional manner in the SEC. I think if you look at our video replay, going back to the booth, I mean, it's hands down better than anything else across the country. So I feel like a lot of it has to do with off the field things that I think are different. I think your stadiums are different. I think the fan interaction is different. But competition is competition. We had a couple run-ins with some schools that we're going to make sure that we keep in our back pocket. That's how we're going to play the game here, and I think our players know that. And so that part was fun. It's kind of developing that edge and continuing to develop that edge. But I don't know if that has anything to do with, being in a different conference. I think postseason, I thought the environment was fantastic. I mean, obviously, I wish we would have had a different outcome, but we also know now that we belong and we're going to compete at that high level. And so I think it's just continuing to put them in those situations. We played a really tough preseason last year, all of those games we were in. And so it's just continuing to put us in those situations and be successful and making sure we're punching back. That's a life skill, right? You're going to get punched, but are you going to punch back and respond? And so I don't know. I feel like I'm in a much better place from a team standpoint of them understanding what it's going to take to get to that next level. This summer, there were several players that chose to stay here over the summer and work out and stay in shape. That has never happened here at A&M. And so just that different level of commitment from the student athlete, I think is, it's the same thing we did at ASU. When we got there, they didn't stay. It just, they went home and got out of shape and then came back and they're like, oh, I want to win a national championship. And I said, well, the national championship happened in the summer. And so I think this year we had over half of our team deciding to stay here, work out, and really get ready for the fall.
We'll stay on that left side, second row to the battalion to wrap us up.
Coach, as football kicks off this week, is there anything in particular you're looking for out of the team or anything that you really want to see improvement in?
Softball, you mean? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I was like, yes, it's a big game this weekend. Yeah. We have recruits in. So, yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just, I want to see them go out there and enjoy it, get out there and compete, get those competitive juices flowing. But it's really for me, the fall is an assessment piece of where we're at. We play quite a few fall games, so I want to see where we're at, because practices will then reflect where, kind of what we need to address. But really, I want to see them go out there and compete. I think that's the one thing that every one of my teams throughout my career is they stand up, they compete, and they get after it. And so I want to see who's going to do that. When the lights start shining, who's going to stand up, who wants the ball, who wants to be in that situation? Who thinks it's fun to be in those quote unquote pressure situations? That's the kind of kid that usually thrives well underneath me.
All right, that's all we have. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.